Hi everyone. Today we will discuss something interesting yet useful to all of us. And the topic we'll discuss about is Mohs circle. Now, this video lecture is not about any formula or shortcuts or any tricks in order to crack an entrance exam. Rather, this video is solely dedicated to the understanding of Mohs circle and to know how to draw and interpret from the circle. So basically, I will take the help of one program to illustrate you. I'm really grateful to Rick Almendinger for making such beautiful program for the ease of teaching, and I would really appreciate his efforts for making the teaching easy but funny once again. So I think most of you are aware of what is Mohs circle and what it is used for. So basically, Mohs circle is a graphical representation of stress tensor, which is used to interpret the normal and the shear stress applied on a plane and how it undergoes deformation or failure. So for the failure purpose, we generally use the Griffith-Coulomb criteria. For all of them who are not aware of the Griffith-Coulomb criteria, I will let you know that it is an enclosure, or you may say a mathematical combined equation that decides the failure or fracture of the plane under stress. So, before beginning, uh, uh, I want to let you know that in this video we'll use the value, or we'll use the value for sigma 1 and sigma 3, which is the most common method that we are used to learn from our textbook and from our teachers, and we'll simply keep the sigma to value that is 0. So if you like the explanation, then you can comment and I will try to make a video on the three-dimensional stress tensor. So before starting the video lecture video, I would like to say some conventions that we are taking, is that the cohesion is equal to the modulus of 2 times the tensile stress, um, and we can get the output through the value of failure envelope, or else we can do the same by giving the values of cohesion and an angle or coefficient of static friction. So first thing is to draw the Mohs circle. So Mohs circle is simply a circle. So we'll just see in an x and y coordinate system. X actually represents the normal stress and y represents the shear stress. So Mohs circle is a circle which actually represents points of normal stress and shear stress, and the maximum one, this maximum one is the sigma 1, and the least one is the sigma 3, and we are keeping sigma 2 is equal to 0 for our convention. So uh, okay, then we'll try to draw a Mohs circle. So we'll just keep the sigma n value for 20, and sigma 2 is equal to 0, and sigma 3 is 5. So now this is your circle. So the basics of this Mohs circle uh, are the length of the radius is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by 2, because now this one is your sigma 1. I'll slightly maximize this. Okay, this one is your sigma 1 and this one is your sigma 3. So sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is your length of the diameter, and sigma 1 minus sigma 3 divided by 2 is equal to length of the diameter divided by 2, that is your radius, length of the radius. So the what is the coordinate of the center? Then it is sigma 1 plus sigma 3 divided by 2. So uh, and the coordination is sigma 1 plus sigma 2, 6, sigma 1 plus sigma 3 divided by 2 and 0. Yes, because x1 is x-axis value we know. Okay, so this is your Mohs circle. One thing here to note is that uh, by increasing the value of sigma 1, at constant sigma 3, that is if we'll increase the value of sigma, like here we had already taken 20, and now I am going to make it 20.5, 21, 21.5, 22, 22.5, and like this. If we'll increase the value of sigma 1 at a constant value of sigma 3, then the size of the circle is actually increasing, because we have already seen that the radius is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 divided by 2, I mean the length of the radius. So by keeping sigma 3 constant but increasing the value of sigma 1 will also increase the length of the radius, and hence it will increase the size of the circle, like this. Okay, we'll set the value to 20 again. Okay, and keeping the sigma 1 value constant, if we'll decrease the value of sigma 3, then also now we can increase the size of the circle by this process. Like if sigma 3 is equal to 4, now 3, this one is much bigger than the previous one, and now 2, this one is also bigger from the previous one, and 1, this one is the biggest of all of them. So this is also very easy to explain, because we are saying that the length of the radius is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So keeping sigma 1, if we will decrease the value of sigma 3, then the value will also increase, or the length of the radius will also increase. Actually, I am saying this because there is a very important application of this increment of the size of the Mohr circle. So with that being let, we'll move to the next part. So in the failure envelope is actually used for the Coulomb-Griffith failure criteria. So in a simple word, if we'll try to understand the failure criteria, so the Coulomb and Griffith failure criteria is nothing but two pairs of straight line combined by a small curve at the beginning and the Mohr circle. Okay, so somehow the Coulomb-Griffith failure criteria looks like this. I mean, if the straight line, if the line that we are projecting towards the circle is tangent to the circle, then that point of contact is the point of failure. That means at particular that normal and shear stress value combination, we can expect some failure or some fracture. But if the Coulomb-Griffith fracture diagram will be like this, then the condition is much more stable, and there will be no fracture or failure we can expect. So okay, so for that we need to fix the tensile stress, and as we have already spoken that the cohesion is equal to the modulus of 2 times the modulus of the tensile stress. So by keeping the tensile stress 2, okay, if we'll 2, okay then. So now actually we are getting some curve. That curve we are actually talking about. So this curve, if we look at the diagram, then the intersection of the curve in the y-axis or in the shear stress axis is equal to, actually if you'll see, then you can observe that the y-axis intercept is equal to 4, the upper one is 4 and the lower one is minus 4. You just need to look the bottom left of the image, that this one is minus 4 and this one is plus 4. So the cohesion is nothing but the y-axis intercept of the curve. So by keeping the tensile stress at 2, we are getting two values like plus 4 and minus 4. So if this one is your plus 4 and this one is your minus 4, so the curve will be just like this. Okay then. So okay, if we'll set the angle of internal friction at 0, then there is nothing much to do. And okay, sorry, 0, there is nothing much to do. But if we'll take it as 1, okay, now you can see there is some movement in the diagram. Okay, then now if we'll keep it 2, okay, now the angle is increasing. Now if we'll keep it 3, now the angle is again increasing. So actually, as we have already discussed, the Griffith uh, the Griffith-Coulomb fracture criteria is actually an envelope that describes if uh, the particular plane will be stable or not. That means if this is your circle and you are drawing some line which is tangential to the particular to the circle at particular point, so this point, I mean this normal stress and this shear stress value will be the value for fracture. That's the only concept. So in order to know that, if we'll draw now, we'll draw a tangent. Okay, uh, now sigma 3 is, will reset the sigma 3 to 5 because sigma 120 and sigma 3 5 is our original value. So now from here we'll draw the tangent. So as you can see that almost 17 degree, but if you'll see that if we'll take the modulus, the value is actually 17 degree. So now we'll put the value of 17 in the figure, and we can see that this straight line is actually tangential to the given circle. So the point of contact, that means this point, and this point, these 2 points are the point of fracture, or the combination of normal stress and shear stress at these 2 points is the actual point of failure or fracture. Okay, so now if you'll take the value, suppose 19, then we can say that this is a much a stable condition than the previous one. And if you will take the value 20, so this is again more stable than the previous one. And we also got to know that this straight line, which is actually we are trying to draw tangentially to the Mohr circle, is actually the particular angle of internal friction. As we increase or decrease the angle of internal friction, we can change the slope. Okay, so like we are saying that is the line that we are trying to make a tangential to the Mohr circle is actually the angle of internal friction. So as we increase or decrease the angle of internal friction, we can also see the change in slope in that particular straight line. So this is very much simple. So uh, in this video, we just got to know that how to draw a Mohr circle. Just simply take the sigma 1 and sigma 3 value and just try to know what is the length of the radius, and make that particular Mohr circle, and you can determine the coordinate of the center. And also we can we now know that how to draw this straight line or some failure envelope. So in the next video, actually we will discuss about how we can fracture or how we can failure a particular plane by giving some amount of stress, like if you are increasing sigma 1 or decreasing sigma 3, or some other factors are there that can contribute to the failure uh, of the plane. So we'll discuss that in the next video. So thank you for your time.